Our top focus in WION right now. The war in Syria has reached a crucial juncture. In the latest, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's flight has reportedly disappeared after news agency Reuters claimed that the president fled the country to an undisclosed and unknown location. According to flight radar, the cargo plane reportedly carrying Assad disappeared near the city of Homs, though there is no official confirmation on Assad leaving the country and the disappearance of his plane. Furthermore, the Syrian Army Command has said that Assad's regime has come to an end. Earlier, al-Assad's family members, including his wife, his children and his two brother-in-laws, fled the country. As per a Wall Street Journal report, Assad's family have taken refuge in Russia. Meanwhile, Syrian Prime Minister Mohammed al-Jalili has said that he is ready to cooperate with any leadership chosen by the people. He also added that he is ready to hand over the government to the opposition.
يختارها الشعب السوري ونحن مستعدون للتعاون معها بحيث نقدم لهم كل التسهيلات الممكنة وبحيث يتم نقل الملفات الحكومية المختلفة بشكل سلس.
Meanwhile, the rebels claim that they have entered the capital city of Damascus. Several rounds of gunfire was heard in the Al-Midan Square, celebrating the capture of the capital city. Further, the rebel forces have announced the start of a new era in Syria after 50 years of Ba'ath rule, asking Syrians abroad to return to free Syria. In addition to this, the rebel group's leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani has ordered the forces to not break into any government institutions in Damascus until they are handed over officially by the Prime Minister. Earlier, a Syrian rebel leader also made claims that its forces have released over 3,500 prisoners from Homs.
الله أكبر والعزة لله. تم إسقاط النظام وفرق أمن الدولي والجوية والحمد لله انتصرنا على الطاغي بشار وعوانه والإيراني والروسي والحمد لله. أخواننا الحموية عم نستناكم. حمص عادية. الله سوريا. الله سوريا حرابية.
Amidst all of this chaos and turmoil, the White House said in a statement that U.S. President Joe Biden is closely monitoring the extraordinary situation in Syria. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has said that U.S. should not get involved in the Syria war. Further, Trump took to his Truth Social platform saying that the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is gone. He also added that Russian President Vladimir Putin is no longer interested in protecting him any longer. Trump said that Russia lost all interest owing to a bad economy and also because of what's happening in Ukraine and Israel. Now, while Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that Syria must not be allowed to fall into the hands of terrorist rebels fighting the forces of Moscow's ally, President Bashar al-Assad, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that the incursions by rebels has spelled a new reality in Syria. Speaking at a city located just 30 kilometers away from the Syrian border, the Turkish president said that the latest attacks have broken the straw in the camel's back.
Arap, Türkmen, Kürt, Alevi, Sünni, Nusayri, Hristiyan ayırt etmeksizin hiç kimsenin dışlanmadığı, kimsenin hak ve özgürlüklerinin çiğnenmediği, zulme uğramadığı, farklı kimliklerin yan yana sulh içinde yaşadığı bir Suriye görmek istiyoruz. İnşallah çok yakın gelecekte böyle bir Suriye'yi göreceğimizi ümit ve temenni ediyoruz.
Meanwhile, United Nations Syrian envoy has called for urgent talks in Geneva for an orderly political transition in the country. He has also pressed for de-escalation while also calling the implementation of UN Security Council resolution.
I have called for urgent political talks in Geneva to implement Security Council Resolution 2254. I'm pleased to say that the ministers and all I'm talking to are backing this call. And my hope is that they will be able to announce a date for this very soon.
For more on this, we were earlier joined by John Haston, live from Jerusalem in Israel. He's an Israeli journalist and a Middle East correspondent for the Jewish News Syndicate. We asked him about how Israel, is viewing all that is happening in Syria. Take a look.
So the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I don't think that's the case here in this reality, in this new situation. Of course, Assad, backed by Iran, backed by Russia for so many years, being a bastion of terrorism in the Middle East. But that being said, you now have uncertainty in terms of the Sunni rebels who have taken over right now, some of them backed by Turkey, of course. What will they do when it comes to Israel? Israel right now is bolstering its positions on the Golan Heights, which borders Syria. Reports this morning indicating that actually some Israeli tanks are going into a buffer zone between Israel and Syria via the Golan, which is the first time in 40 years. So it remains to be seen. All other reports indicate that Israel actually attacked a suspected Syrian chemical weapons facility over the last several days, because it could be extremely tumultuous if the rebels, in fact, get those weapons, if the rebels decide that they're going to turn their aggression on the state of Israel. It's something we have to pay attention to. In addition, over the weekend, Israel actually coming to the defense of a UN position which came under attack there along the Israeli-Syrian border. So Assad, even though he was in the Iranian orbit, even though Hezbollah, of course, aligned with Assad, Israel's been fighting Hezbollah, even though there's a ceasefire now, it remains to be seen what the future holds in between the realities which we saw this morning. On one hand, positive is that Iran has been very, very weakened as a result of Israel's strikes on Iran and, of course, their proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas down in Gaza. You know, these might be different sides here. You're talking about Shia, you're talking about Sunni, all these different parties. But at the end of the day, Iran is the head of the octopus, and that still remains our greatest threat. But as you said, we do have to pay attention to this new reality. We do have to take into consideration the fact that some of these Sunni-led groups in Syria perhaps will turn their attention towards us. We know that they're enemies of Iran, but they are not a friend of the state of Israel. You can make the argument that certain Kurdish groups who are Western-backed, backed by the United States, definitely have common interests with the state of Israel. But if you're talking about the HDS, if you're talking about the rebels there supported by the Turkish regime, they certainly don't have the interests of the state of Israel or the Western world on their minds. So we have to pay attention very, very carefully to the spiraling situation there in Syria.